See, when most people think about growth, they imagine grinding 24/7, harsh deadlines, strict routines. But the truth is, growth can't be built on effort alone. You need a healthy balance. And this is where the rule of thirds come in. If you spend a third of your time around like-minded individuals and a portion of your time actually on this self-improvement journey, and the last portion actually educating yourself and staying in within that framework, what you do is you create a cycle of success that never stops. See, a couple years back when I was a bit younger, I never really cared about who I really made friends with. Doesn't that sound crazy? The people who you create bonds with, people who will influence you and how you live your life, in the next couple years. I didn't really care too much about who they were. I kind of did whatever they did. Occasionally I'd do my own thing. I didn't really put much importance on who I really spent time with. And this really neglected my come up. So the best thing you can do is, right, go onto YouTube, okay, find the 3 to 4 best content creators you can find. So honestly, what I want you to understand is you can take your influence into your own hands. What I want you to do is go and find the top 3 to 4 content creators related to your lifestyle path that you're trying to go on right now. You want to take their best characteristics, okay, their confidence, their demeanor, and you want to apply it onto your own life. This is how you surround yourself with people you want to be like, people you want to learn from, and in turn, they can rub off on you and show their collective within you. You understand? And that's essentially how you can take influence into your own hands and improve those you spend time around. Now, self-improvement's obviously a no-brainer, okay? The act of improving yourself is something that you're gonna be doing throughout your entire life, okay? Nobody's perfect, but we all wanna strive. All wanna aspire for greatness, okay? Now, I would recommend self-improvement for anybody. And why do I put it under such a term like that? Well, the truth is, self-improvement should be a lifestyle. It should be something that you are thinking about all the time. Because honestly, it's not too many people doing self-improvement in the first place. You should be having to make decisions, having self-improvement in mind. Should I go and engage in that diet? Should I go and smoke with my friends? Should I go and party all night for a week straight and having no work done? Should I do that? These are the questions you should be asking yourself and, acting appropriately. That's called self-improvement. You're improving yourself by evaluating which decisions you make in the moment. You want to dedicate time to improving your own skills, your mindset, your mental health. These are all things that really matter, all right, on this self-improvement journey. It's important to prioritize these things and make sure you're optimizing them for your own lifestyle, okay? You want these things to not be a waste of time that you're spending, on these improvements, but you want them to actually matter. Right, this next section is probably one of my favorites, okay? And it's just, remember when I spoke about staying within the educational framework? Okay, so people say that experience is the best teacher, but I would actually argue that being the teacher, teaching is better than the experience in general, okay? Now, someone might ask me, well, Michael, how can you teach without having already known and had the experience in the first place? Well, that's my whole point, right? You see, first of all, if you're teaching anyone anything, okay, it just shows that you have a brief understanding on the subject itself. But there's actually 2 modules to this. See, the second module is that once you're teaching this to somebody, you're teaching it in a way that they'll be able to understand it, okay? For example, if you look at my channel, right, a couple videos down the line, right, you'll see a thumbnail and it's essentially a number 6 or a number 9. This is essentially what I'm saying, right? Like, it's about perspective, okay? There's like one person on this side and another person on this side. And in the middle, there's like a number 6 drawn on the floor. You can easily just imagine it by just imagining it in your head, right? So it's a number 6 on the ground. Person 1 can see 6 and person 2 can see 9, right? If you're the teacher, you teaching it from person 1's point of view alone, it won't really do much. It won't do anything. You have to be able to experience and teach it from the other point of view as well. And that's essentially that's what you want to do. For example, if you're trying to pursue trading, or you're trying to e-commerce, drop shipping, whatever, niche, whatever you're trying to do right now, okay? If you're able to produce content, okay, and teach what you've learnt, you're by far doing better in terms of educating yourself on what actually goes into your business, your niche. Teaching what you know it's a no-brainer really, because it just highlights exactly what you don't know as well, okay? Because if you don't know something, you'll go and look it up and you'll teach yourself, you'll educate yourself by in doing so, right? So yeah. So honestly, if you want to become better and carry this momentum into 2026, you don't want to just spend your time in isolation. You want to spend your time around not just anyone, but people you can learn from. Okay, you want to spend time building yourself up and also teaching a little bit of what you know along the way. This is how you create a remarkable strength from within. By the time next year comes around, you won't just be better, but you'll be unstoppable virtually. After all of these frameworks and time, progressive overload, you'll see tremendous results. I promise you that. If you want to see more of this content, just click over here. Put a video over there, and you should watch that. And you can also subscribe too. Peace.